Oh, warm welcome to those on Zoom, by the way. I don't think we've welcomed those so far. Just sorting my microphones out here. Okay, yeah, so thinking about getting from A to B. Okay, so first of all, I was thinking, like in church, who actually gives somebody authority to speak on any topic from the front? So I was thinking about that question and then thinking whether I had any authority to speak on what I was going to speak about. I think sometimes, obviously, if you're a leader, it helps. But also, with Paul being away, he'd asked me, which is obviously on a good authority, with Paul being the pastor, that's good. But the Bible in James 1, 23 to 24 says, listen to the word and do what it says. So that's really the spirit in which we're doing, which I'm talking on this topic this morning. And the Bible talks about looking into the word, and then once you see what you look like, not just walking away and forgetting what you look like, but actually doing something about it. So that's the message I'd sort of try and convey. So not by any means being perfect on any of these things. So topic around A to B. Next week, Paul's going to resume the message on the letters to the churches in Revelation. But today it's about the theme on getting around on the roads and looking at some of the biblical principles around that, and also how some of those apply to life in general. And I was thinking, what really prompted me to think about that? And I think it may be because I've been taking some of the girls out on as a bit of a driving instructor. The pattern that it tends to follow is we go out for a few, and then I tend to get sacked off. And then they subtly say, right, I think I feel right to have like a proper instructor now. So, but that may be why it was on my mind. But as a bit of an icebreaker, I was thinking, just as a bit of a show of hands, I just wondered if we could have, is the camera on me? I'm looking at everyone getting a bit nervous, but it's only on me, yeah. But just a bit of a show of hands. So who passed? Don't feel as though you have to answer this, okay. But I was just wondering to see, in comparison to myself, who passed their driving test first time around? All right, quite a lot. Yeah, feeling a little bit inferior there. How about second time? Second time, a few less. Third? Is that hand up? No, scratching your head. Third time, none. Fourth time. Right. Okay, yeah, I seem to be in a bit of a minority there. But as I say, I don't think it's a good indication of particularly someone's driving ability, the number of times. But I may be wrong. But so definitely in a minority. I was going to do a second survey around number of speeding tickets, but felt better of that one. But it's my perception, just going round and about on the roads, that actually the sort of temperature on the road between people can be a bit of a barometer in terms of like where society is at, if you like, or level of patience in between people. And recently, I've tended to notice, and this is just my perception, I don't actually have much evidence, but there seems to be a little bit of a lack of patience between people when they're out on the road. Often, you don't have to be doing much wrong for a particular length of time. They seem to get beeped at quite a lot. And I was just thinking about why this may be. When I looked at one of the government's campaigns, they have a campaign called Travel Like You Know Them. So they try and put personas around, particular people on the road. So we've got Alan throwing something nice about his personal detail. He can bench press his mate, Bob. And Gary, dad dances like nobody's watching. I'm not really talking about the government campaign, but my main point is that I think there's an awareness that things on the road can sort of get a little bit heated. So when we look at Ecclesiastes 3, it talks about people being in different seasons. Some people being in an easier season than others. Some people being in quite a difficult season. I remember a while ago when I was doing a lot of traveling at work, And I was traveling Colombia, Thailand, everywhere. And I remember being at one of the other churches, and I bumped into Mike Vaughan, our old pastor, and he said, "How are you doing?" I said, "I'm doing all right." He said, "Are you still traveling?" I said, "Yeah, I'm still having to go around quite a bit." And he said, "Oh yeah, it's just for a season that." And I was like, "Yeah, well, I can't really see it falling off." And then now, work from home, post-pandemic, and just sort of have to get out of bed. I'm in the workplace, if you know what I mean. So my main point is that seasons can sort of change quite quickly. But my perception is that actually, post-pandemic, there's possibly more people in a harder season, just with the cost of living increases. People, interest rates have gone up. People feel under more pressure. When I was looking into some of the data, I was expecting to see that there's more vehicles on the road, but actually there's a 4% decrease since 2019, but the number of vans have increased by 8% because of online shopping and stuff like that. So it's like a perfect storm for people to get heated on the road. The Trussell Trust, who's responsible for 50% of the food banks in the UK, report that they've increased post-pandemic from 1.9 to 3 million emergency food parcels. So, I think it is possible that people do feel more under pressure because of like a rapid change in working conditions and being out and about. So I was thinking, as Christians, we can, make our contribution, if you like, to going more like this situation, a bit of road rage, to what it says in Proverbs 15, where it says a gentle answer turns away wrath. So in general, just if you're bumping into difficult people or, you do experience some road rage, then it's good to remember that people can be in difficult seasons. One time I was in Fulwood, and I was just going to be turning right, and I didn't turn right quick enough, and the guy behind me was just beeping, going crazy on the horn, and I was like, and then I noticed he followed me into booths, and I was sort of, should I say something or not? Because what you notice quite often is that the person that's actually done it sort of ends up being in the same place as you. So I was like, well, should I mention it or should I not? What's his reaction going to be? So I just went up to him. I said, what's that all about? And he said, what? I said, well, beeping so loud on your horn. And he said to me, he just went, well, it's not fitted with volume control. Which I thought was quite a witty answer, yeah? And sometimes I'm a person who's not, I'm not particularly quick at coming out with an answer, which can have positives or negatives. But some people have a really sharp tongue, yeah? And they can just come out with a witticism like that to put somebody down or put them in their place. And I was just thinking, as Christians, it's good practice in life to not strive to have the last word, if you like, because then, it gives the person just a bit of time to reflect on what they said. Now, he may be really pleased with coming out with that, but not to really strive to have the last word. So first point, about seasons. The second one is just how it's good to slow down on the road. Sometimes I am a little bit astounded how people can take high risks to get not very far, and sometimes, you see people fly down and then you just catch up with them at the lights in front, and you can sort of say, well, you've taken a massive risk there to not get particularly far. And I was just thinking that, actually, when you look at some of the evidence, the difference between traveling 30 miles an hour and 40 miles an hour increases the chance of a fatality by, I think it's 5% or something like that. So traveling fast can definitely increase the risk of damage. So I was looking at things that it's good from a biblical perspective to not rush into. So like relationships, who you're making your close friends, who you're actually bringing into your inner circle, inner friendship circle, boyfriends, girlfriends, how we spend our money when we thinking about going to college, or selecting different courses to do, uni. So big decisions in life that it's good to slow down and just think about, what the best thing to do is. And there is a story from the Bible in Isaiah 30 where God was actually angry, and Isaiah was angry on behalf of God because the people didn't consult God. Yeah, they were looking for protection from the Assyrians at that particular point in time, but they chose not to consult God. So it's really the point that the big decisions in life, definitely consult God, consult trusted people on to actually get some advice on. And then I'm going off at a little bit of a tangent, but sometimes in the Bible, there's truths that are held up in balance, if you like. Okay, so if you think about some of these, God being human, God being totally man. Okay, us being saved by faith, but also your faith being dead without deeds. Okay, so those two things, they seem like contradictory, but actually they're both true in their own right, and it's holding those two up in balance, if you like. So I was thinking in relation to money, then it's good, just to take your time and think about what we do with the money, pray about it, and seek God's guidance on it for big money decisions. Matthew 6:19 says, "Do not store up your treasures," which implies don't be hoarding money. But on the other side of the balance, in Proverbs, it says the plans of the diligent lead to profit. So obviously there's an implication of being responsible with your money there. So if you take either of those sort of out of balance, then you end up with the extremes of, being reckless with your money, or not considering your future financial plans. So it's holding those up. So I just, I thought this picture was pretty helpful in terms of holding those up. This main point really, slowing down when it comes to big decisions in life, slowing down on the road, and also getting some good advice. Just personally, when I was in my first job, first proper job out of uni, working for a pretty good company, and they give you some share options. And the guy said to me, well, at the time I was thinking, I might have had a bit enough of this, with this company. I think I might move on, and I was sort of thinking, well, I've got these share options. What should I do about them? And the company gives you them as a bit of a bonus, if you like, because it's quite a cost-effective way of them looking after the employees. So at the time I thought, well, what should I do with them? I think I'll offload them because I'm probably going to leave the company anyway. Yeah, so I did quite hastily offload them, and I went in to see one of the directors who had to sign it off, and he said, "Sure you want to get rid of these?" He said, "Because I think they might be going up a bit." And I was like, "Yeah, well," and I'd sort of made the decision on an emotional, bit of a hasty basis, just to offload them quite quickly because I'd had a bit of enough of being at the company. Yeah. So I'd attached my emotions to some of that, and made a bit of a hasty decision to get them. Anyway, that being said, over time they actually went up, and they would have been worth a considerably higher amount than what I sold them for. But I thought it was just a good reminder, really, of just taking time around financial decisions, particularly the bigger ones, and consulting God on them, and not to sort of, when it comes to financial diligence, not really acting on an emotional basis as such. The third point, just very quickly. So Proverbs says, the plans of the diligent lead to profit as surely as haste leads to poverty. And then in Proverbs, the dishonest money dwindles away, but whoever gathers money little by little makes it grow. So it's that biblical principle, if you like, in being a good steward with our money, but not allowing it to grab us. So that was the message that Jesus was talking about not hoarding. He's interested in our heart. Has the money got us? Does it have us? Or do we have the money? That's the critical question. Yeah, so just final point, really. And this is the importance of signalling. So obviously importance on the road. Did you know some of the posh cars these days don't actually come without indicator? They don't come with indicators. I saw a Porsche the other day that was just on the roundabout. Didn't have one at all. I think there was a top of the range Audi I saw as well that didn't have one. So seemed to be going out of fashion a bit. But anyway, yeah. So why is it important to signal as as a Christian? I was just thinking about this. So one of the important reasons is that the Bible says, "Let your yes be yes, and your no, no." Okay, so sometimes in life we can have like quite detailed strategies around things. You can go on courses in business, and you can have a convoluted plan. But actually, the Bible says to let your yes be yes, and your no, no. So I was thinking, why is this important? And one of the things is that, just on a very basic level, is once you've said yes, I'm going to do something. So if somebody, in church says, "Oh, can you help me out with that?" Say yes, yeah, no problem. That it builds that reliability. And I was thinking about the band that some of the kids used to wear, like they used to have frog on it, fully reliant on God. And I was just thinking how some people in this church, you can sort of bet your life on them. They're gonna, if they say they're gonna do something, then they are totally reliable. And how, that is a really good trait to have, to be really reliable. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes something comes up, and inevitable, you just can't do it. But just helps build that reputation. So what the Bible's saying is to not swear by anything else. As kids you say, "I'll swear on my life that this," or "I'll swear on one of my family members' life." Never sat particularly well with me, that. But it just says, let your yes be yes, and your no, no. Anything beyond that isn't from God. So just to be clear, because it builds a good reputation if you can deliver on what you're going to say. Sometimes I think it's good to under commit and over deliver. So it's better to say, "Well, I can do that," and maybe over deliver, rather than say, "Oh yeah, I'll do all that," and just do about 10% of it, which may or may not be that useful. So yeah, we've got an election coming up, haven't we? So we're thinking who to vote. To be honest, I'm not sure, and I'm not that interested in the debate personally. I just feel a little bit disillusioned by it. Not against other, all politicians. I know some of them in particular, they make a lot of sacrifices. But sometimes there's just a feeling that, they tend to have like quite convoluted plans, almost like a chess player, where they're always, I heard about one politician, it was said about them, they're always thinking 3 steps ahead. But to be honest, for me, I'd just like them to tell me what their first step ahead is, and then I can just decide on whether I'd like to vote for them. But I say, young people in particular, jobs in governance, looking after things, stewardship, definitely encourage people to get into that, despite politicians, getting a bit of a tough rap, because we need you. We need Christians in those positions of authority to have a really good influence and be reliable. So, despite my slight cynicism, I would sort of say, definitely don't be put off if you feel as though you're called into that area. So just in closing, just in the closing principles, just remember people are in different seasons. Seasons can change quickly, just like that. Something changed, you find out you're in a different place. Good to help people who have gone into a new season, obviously, and just be thankful that we've got God to help us in the new seasons he brings us into, and also to share him in others who find themselves in difficulty. Slow down on the big decisions, just seek the counsel of wise people, seek the counsel of God. Really important, not make hasty big decisions, and also to make your intentions clear, so that people know where you stand, and not to come, not to prioritize convoluted strategies that people, where are you at with this? Okay, so just to make that clear. So hopefully that's been helpful. It is quite a practical thing, but hopefully something for you to reflect on today, and myself. So I'm going to hand over to you now, Steve.